chain of command. We're self-command. They started extreme. They started looking at things and saying, breaking the rules. So when you're pitching to a Generation Xer and you started to communicate, by the way, they like clear communication. They want to know what's happening because they don't have a lot of trust. This is a generation, it's the smallest generation there is. Because, you know, the boomers were too busy trying to figure out how to have babies. They didn't have time. So the generation kind of didn't occur like the other generations had occurred. And so, and by the time these kids were coming out of the womb, it became the women's movement had occurred. So now women were, you know, intrigued by work and what they might be outside of the home. And then simultaneously that created two-family incomes. And then simultaneously you also had a huge increase in nobody's at home. So it could have been a single parent situation through divorce, or it could just be that nobody's at home. So you created the first latchkey generation. So latchkey generation is depending on themselves and their peer group. That's how they operate. And so their networking skills are stronger. They stay connected with people. You know, I always laugh because this generation, and I always know it, you know, because, you know, they went to college and they never really left, you know. They're wearing the same clothes and they listen to the same bloody music, right? They're like, oh yeah, man, I love this. This is the best, you know. Yeah, like, what was his name? Kurt Cobain, man, yeah. You know, it was like happening at that time. And they stayed there. This generation is the largest entrepreneurial generation, and it supports the renegade. This is not a lazy generation, which is a lot of times how people perceive them. This is a generation that created the 4-day, 10-hour work week. And that was because they valued family more than anything, because they grew up in not a traditional family. They longed for that. They heard about that family, but they didn't experience it, and they wanted to create those environments. So for this generation, it's so important to them that they have family experiences. So if you're a hotel and you're a limited service or a select service hotel, you want to make sure you have lots of activities that are promoted and available through your website, because this is an activity generation. They go on family trips, and they want stuff to do. This is the water park bungee jumping generation. You ask a boomer, you know, to bungee jump, and they'll be like, well, are you going to pay me? Because I'm not doing something that stupid for no other reason, you know. And it better be a lot of money. Where the Xers are like, yeah, they created the extreme. They created extreme sports. It's only the millennials who made that mainstream and got it on ESPN. Originally, you know, it was the cable companies. And cable was part of them. The first for the boomers was a TV. Actually, in the late 50s, there were only 5 million TVs. By the mid-60s, there were 50 million TVs. So it changed everything. It changed how boomers learned about things. It changed advertising. It changed everything. Now you have these Xers who got cable, 24-hour news. Think about the human condition. Now they find out all the time that there's violence everywhere. Can you trust when there's violence everywhere? Not good. Boomers also, the Xers also experience a lot of sorrow moments in our history. And so that also was a heavy burden. Now this is a generation that its timing was really, really perfect, because it was like with Bill Gates, he was just turning 21 when the PC was going to become something. Good timing. Google came out of this generation. eBay came out of this generation. And so it's a very creative generation, and they don't see it. So if you go into Google's offices, you know, they got ping pong tables and they got the whole thing happening, because that generation's about quality of life. Got to get some balance here. Work balance is the biggest thing. So It's a beautiful target audience for you right now, in particular because of the economy, because they will always take their vacation. I got a guy in my office. They had a baby earlier this year, and he took some time off there and used up all his vacation. Like, he had 4 weeks of vacation already. He used it all. He wanted to go with his family and his newborn and his wife to Hawaii. He took 10 days off without pay. I'm like, okay, you were familiar with the recession? Are you out of your mind? What do I sound like? A boomer. You can't do that. You gotta work until you drop. What kind of thinking is that? Right? So they value that so much. So for you, and they're also community people. They go to Starbucks. This is where Starbucks first started. They go there because they can have a quality experience. They can have a quality experience. Very, very important. And by the way, boomers and Xers love their backyard. So if you're a marketing person, you want to be thinking about, how do I talk to the backyard? Because there are revenue streams in your backyard through these 2 generations.